Hey, what's up, guys? Tougie here, back again, talking more hockey because the news does not stop. It didn't stop after the draft. It's still not stopping now as we approach the beginning of free agency. I have a couple of trades I want to talk about and a couple of signings. We're going to get right down to business because I have other videos to make. I want to start off by talking about this trade here. It happened 2 days ago at the end of the draft, but Adam Haluka dealt to New Jersey for basically nothing. I really like this deal for the Devils. Now, at the very least, you know, he's 23. You kind of know what he's going to be, turning 24 next month. But he had a pretty good season in the AHL. He had a pretty damn good season. So, who knows? Might end up being a nothing trade for the Devils. Maybe Haluka finds a way to finally carve out some playing time in the NHL. I don't like that, I don't mind that deal for the Devils. I like what they've done. We'll see what the future considerations go for Nashville. I don't think Haluka was going to make that squad, so I can't really say I don't like the deal for Nashville. But just wanted to mention that really quickly. Then we get to the two big trades of Monday. We're going to start off, and it still blows my mind that this happened. Ryan Hartman for Tyler Pitlick. 1-for-1. How? Why? I don't understand. Now, look, we'll start off by looking at Ryan Hartman here, and of course, I don't know why the page looks this weird, but it's fine. With Ryan Hartman, again, dealt to Nashville alongside who became Spencer Stastny, who I don't know who this guy is, actually. Let's take a look. There, he's a person. He played Notre Dame this year and wasn't a big point getter. But, hey, he's a person. Who knows? Dealt alongside Stastny for Victor Edgel, the pick that became Nick Bodan, and the pick that became Philip Kurashev. Not a bad return for Chicago. Of course, when Hartman was traded for first, people are like, what the hell? Rightfully so at the time, perhaps. Then, of course, this past February, he was dealt to the Nashville Predators, or he was dealt to Philadelphia in exchange for Wayne Simmonds, the trade that sent Simmonds to Nashville, and now 1-for-1 for Tyler Pitlick. It just boggles my mind. I don't get it. If you're Philadelphia, you've made quite a few moves. Easy for me to say. Quite a few moves already this offseason. This is the most mind-boggling of them all to me. I can't talk right now, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. Perfection? Anyway. I don't get this. That's the problem. I don't get this. I don't have too much to say about it because I do not get it. Is Ryan Hartman a locker room cancer? Was he going to be asking for way too much money? I just, by no metric can I see why you would have let him go. Now, I know, 6 points in 19 games in Philadelphia, not exactly a great run. I get that. But, you look at what he had done when he was, again, he's a 30-point guy at least, typically. He nearly hit 30 points again last year. You can kind of expect 30 points out of the guy. You can't. You just, why? Why, Philly? Why? Now look, and a lot of people were surprised they didn't get more back for Wayne Simmonds. A lot of people were surprised that Nashville was able to, recoup a little bit after the shocking, trade to begin with them giving up a first-round pick. It's like, okay, you get Wayne Simmonds, you go for it. Of course, it didn't work out too well for them. I just don't get this. And again, that's not to just completely shit on Tyler Pitlick. He's not a bad player either. He's nearly had a 30-point season in the NHL. He's a 20 to 30-point guy. That's not too bad. And I will say, of course, this comparison tool, if you want to use it, just search A3Z Player Comparison Tool, or check out CJ Totoro on Twitter at CJTDevil. Highly recommended follow. And while these possession numbers don't tell the full story, it's just a look at, what had happened, one set of stats or numbers, whatever, it doesn't always tell the full story, of course. And these numbers for Hartman, it's before he was traded in this past season in February. Come on. That pretty much speaks for itself, doesn't it? So, if you're Philly, I don't understand what that deal is about. I genuinely don't. Again, maybe it's just he was going to be too expensive. I don't get it. If you're Dallas, this is a pretty damn good move. I gotta be honest. It's a pretty damn good move because, as it is, Matt Zuccarello is pretty much out the door from the looks of it. Whether or not they would have been able to get an Artemi Panarin, with that much money left, probably not. You still have some contracts to sort out as well, although there will be a little bit of cap alleviation. Martin Hanzal will probably be LTIR for you guys. But yeah, I don't know. You know, if you're going to lose Zuccarello, you bring in Hartman, fresh start, again. You know, we'll see. I mean, you turned Tyler Pitlick into Ryan Hartman. That's a good bit of business no matter what. So I give them credit for that. You know, at first look, Dallas wins this trade, but time will tell. Dallas, at least right now, at this moment, has acquired the better player. So it's just mind-boggling to me that Philly made this trade. I don't understand it. And then we look at the other trade, Calvin de Haan and Alexi Sorella to Chicago for Anton Forsberg and Gustav Forsling. For Chicago, I mean, again, I still probably would have taken Bowen Byram in the draft, but you have now added Olli Maatta to the defensive side of things. You apparently tried to get rid of Brent Seabrook in a deal with the Vancouver Canucks. That did not happen. And, of course, now you have Calvin de Haan. The one concern about Calvin de Haan, of course, is shoulder injuries. He's hurt again. He's out for roughly 6 months. And, you know, if you're Carolina, there's been a lot of talk over Falk, Pesce, Slavin, Dougie Hamilton. Is someone going to get dealt? Now you've moved, I think, who people viewed as the least likely person to move, although it might have been the smartest contract to move. Not the most amount of money in the world, but, you know, if de Haan's injury troubles continue, yeah, that contract can be kind of rough. And for a team in Carolina that already has, say, the Scott Darling contract on their books, I can see why they might not want to have another situation like that. Again, de Haan, not the biggest point getter in the world, and hopefully I can do this without it saying it needs to be reset. Yeah. Pretty good bang for your buck when Calvin de Haan's healthy. Those are ridiculous numbers. Ridiculous numbers, all things considered. So, for Chicago, if Calvin de Haan stays healthy, you're good. You're good. For Carolina, and I will note, too, with Alexi Sorella, again, not a bad option. Going to be 22. He is 22, so he'll be turning 23 next season. You know, he didn't play for Carolina this past year. Those are pretty strong AHL numbers, though. We'll see what happens with him. The big thing here, though, is for Carolina. Again, for Chicago, it's pretty straightforward. You bring in another defenseman to improve that core. You go for Kirby Dach in the draft. You've, at least on paper, made your defense better. We'll see with de Haan and Olli Maatta. De Haan, it's injury concerns. Olli Maatta, it's everything concerns. But if Olli Maatta is able to turn it around, you're looking pretty good. Although $8.5 million towards Maatta and Calvin de Haan, that's a little bit rough. But we'll see if Chicago can get it to work out for them. It's much more straightforward. With Carolina, what are you doing? And there's still the word that they still might trade one of the big four defensemen. I don't get it here, though. I mean, clearly you can only really view this as a move to clear the cap space. So it's tough because for this trade, if you look at it as just what the trade is, Chicago wins. But if you look at it from like a trade tree perspective, it's more of what is this eventually going to become for Carolina? Very similar to the Nashville Predators deal, if I don't have to scroll too far back down for that. Oh my God, there were so many trades during the draft. Very similar to the PK Subban trade. You look at that trade, well, the Subban trade might not actually be the best example. It kind of is, though. You look at that trade, in a nutshell, we'll say, New Jersey wins. But it's more so about what Nashville is going to do with that $9 million off the books. If Nashville gets Matt Duchene, you can very well view this as, Matt Duchene, Stantini, Davies, Bob Brink in a second. And again, this deal with Carolina is very similar. If this becomes Matt Duchene, if this becomes Artemi Panarin, it looks a hell of a lot better. Now, again, some people say, well, you can't view it that way, but for Carolina, a big part of it was getting that money off the books. We still don't know what they're going to do with Patrick Marleau. They can certainly afford to keep him. I will mention, too, with Anton Forsberg, up and down stint with Chicago. Decent in Rockford last year. Pretty good, actually. A .919 in the AHL is a decent save percentage. And then, obviously, that 35-game run with the Blackhawks the year before. 908's not god-awful. It's not amazing, but, with the way the NHL has been going and scoring's been up as of late, it certainly could have been worse. Gustav Forsling as well. He's 23, just turned 23, in fact. He'll have time, and as a matter of fact, he should have numbers here. I didn't realize he played 43 games for the Hawks last year. They only tracked him for 9 games, but that's still a little bit of a, I mean, the zone exits are, but the defense, hey, pretty fucking good. So, with Carolina, it's more about what are they going to do. That's pretty much what it is. Again, the Dallas trade, I don't understand what Philly's doing. With this trade, it's more of a wait and see what Carolina has up their sleeves. They have to be going for one of the major free agents. They have to. They do have to re-sign Sebastian Aho, but they have nearly $24.7 million in space. Re-signing Aho, bringing back Justin Williams. Michael Furlan's probably gone unless they decide they actually want to spend the money for him. And, of course, Mrazek and McElhinney will probably be brought back. It's just a wait and see deal with that. And unfortunately, that's the way a lot of these deals are. It's just, okay, what is the next move for the Carolina Hurricanes? So for now, if you're a Blackhawks fan, hey, be happy. You got Calvin Haan. He is now one of your better defensemen if he can stay healthy. For Carolina, I mean, hey, we'll see what you end up doing. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, Travis Sanheim signed a new deal, 2 years of $325 million per with the Philadelphia Flyers. And I'll say this about Sanheim, pretty good. I think a lot of people view Travis Sanheim, pretty good from an offensive standpoint. And it's weird because I think if you look at Sanheim, 6'3", 181, I think a lot of people, and especially too, I think it might just be the whole Philly thing, but I think a lot of people kind of view him as more of a defensive defenseman, but 35 points this last year, not too bad. Of course, this was his first full season as well, and from an offensive standpoint, pretty goddamn good. Those defensive numbers and the exit numbers, not so good, to the point where I'd probably say 325 might be a tad bit of an overpayment, but you're taking a risk with Sanheim. He's 23. It's more of a prove-it deal. It's not going to kill you, although with Philly at this point, I mean, they still have $17 million in cap space. You still have to worry about re-signing Konechny and Provorov, but they have the money to do it. So, I mean, as far as that deal is concerned for Sanheim, sure, maybe a slight overpayment, but he's still young enough, and who knows, second year that deal could look great. Steven Kampfer going back to the Bruins, I mean, it's for $800K. I'm fine with that. He's their 8th defenseman, maybe even 9th, unless they move somebody, so I'm fine with that. And then the big deal of the day was William Karlsson, really of the night. The news broke around like 10:30 p.m., but William Karlsson has signed an 8-year deal, $5.9 million per. He will be staying in Vegas. He gets that... He gets that stability, I think, that he was probably looking for after going from Anaheim to Columbus and then to Vegas. And say what you want. I mean, if you look at his numbers from the year before, I mean, obviously, when Vegas ends up making it to the Cup, from an offensive standpoint, very solid. Also, a very solid defensive option. This past year, not as great, but to say William Karlsson isn't worth $5.9 million, that's not true. That's a pretty damn good deal for Karlsson. Anytime you hand out an 8-year deal, it's a kind of situation. There's always a feeling about that, unless it's like a Crosby or a McDavid. But, sure, he didn't score 43 goals this year. He didn't put up 78 points, but it's not bad. And you factor in, too, William Karlsson's a center. And, again, while I don't necessarily hate the Kevin Hayes deal, if you want to take a look at what some centers are getting paid nowadays, it's a decent deal. Kevin Hayes was obviously, again, only 15 games tracked to 17. Kevin Hayes, I mean, you could argue it equals out from, the shots per 60 kind of balancing out. Kevin Hayes probably gets the slight nod, but, just a hair under 6 versus $7 million per. Vegas did pretty well in that deal, although the big thing with Vegas, of course, is technically they're in that negative cap right now, which you're allowed to be in the offseason, but they have to change something. They are not done. Somebody is moving. It's just a matter of who. I don't know if it'll be Pacioretty. I highly doubt it. Probably won't be Stastny. A lot of people are assuming it's going to be Riley Smith, because I certainly wouldn't move Alex Tuch. You could also look to move Cody Eakin, who had a great year, and I don't know if you're going to be able to re-sign Cody Eakin once that deal is up. I don't want to say great year, but 41 points for Cody Eakin's pretty good, especially for a third-line center. That's not too bad. Don't think you want to be paying a third-line center nearly $4 million per, but you could get a team to bite. I know a lot of people are like, please have them trade Colin Miller to my team, and you should feel that way. Although, just for the sake of looking at it, not coming off of the best year. I love Colin Miller, but not coming off of the best season. The year before, hell of a lot better. I think that's the Colin Miller people are hoping that their team ends up getting. But it's going to be interesting to see what Vegas does, because they do have deals that they can move. Again, whether it be like a Braden McNabb or something like that, although it's not too bad. But Vegas is not done yet. So, to recap, Philly, I don't get it. Chicago, good pickup with Haan if he can stay healthy. Again, not terrible pieces to get back for Carolina, but the question is, what do they do with that extra bit of space that they freed up, although they didn't even really need to free up the space. The Sanheim deal, maybe a slight overpayment, but not bad if he can get his defensive game under control. And the William Karlsson contract is pretty damn strong. Let me know what you think about everything that we discussed in this video. And again, I will continue to be talking hockey throughout the postseason because, hey, or the offseason, it's past the postseason. Damn it. But yeah, I'll be continuing to talk about the offseason. Again, hockey season's not done yet. July 1st, it's like Christmas Day. Cannot wait. But still, some crazy stuff to come. Hell, I mean, there's a lot of talk about, of course, Toronto, too. Mitch Marner, still not signed. What's going to happen there? I'm excited to find out. I'll tell you that much, at least. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.